Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a film from 2012. That movie is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know what the hell I'm getting into on this. And there's a big reason. Because even though I very distinctly remember commercials for this running on TV last year, I also remember those ads being incredibly bland. I'm talking, guys, the ads for this movie basically could only go as far as to say, well, it's based on a book, and oh look guys, it is Abraham Lincoln. Look, it's vampires. Now watch them fight. The ads were incredibly dull, and when they were on, I felt incredibly indifferent about the movie. In fact, still to this day, I still feel absolutely indifferent about watching this thing. So much so that, well, the only reason why I even have a copy here is because I found a copy for $4. So frankly, even if this thing winds up sucking hard, I'm not going to lose a whole lot of sleep over it. But hey, this thing could also wind up being incredibly good, and it just was, you know, like shackled with god-awful marketing. I do not know. But the only way I'm going to find out if this thing's any good is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Is that a 7-barreled shot, gun? Fuck, I want one of those, man! No, guys, seriously, I fucking want a 7-barreled shotty, man. That right there'd be fucking awesome, dude. Alright, guys, I totally understand that Abe is kind of new to the whole, like, vampire hunting thing, but my god, he is really fucking bad at this. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know. Okay. Never mind. Somehow Abe was able to turn that absolute massive colossal fuck up into a fucking successful kill. That was really cool, guys. Alright, I am going to say this right now. Like, this honestly is a really cool, like, fight scene, especially since it's going on, like, in the middle of, like, a stampede and everything. But I have to kind of ask, how is it, though, that Abe is able to swing that axe so fucking wildly and he never hit a single horse? I mean, I'm really curious, guys, about this. It's really, kind of bugging me. Like, you would have thought that with all of his swinging, he would have accidentally, like, cut off, like, the head of a horse or something. I don't know. Maybe, honestly, that's just me trying to work in realism in a movie that is in no way trying to be realistic. But still, I'm just kind of wondering about it, Wait. So, let me see if I understand this. The point when Henry and Abe decided to part ways was when Abe wanted to basically fight off the vampire menace in the South by getting rid of slavery. Don't ask, it kind of makes sense in context. Even though by all rights Henry should probably have dumped Abe as a, like, business partner the moment that Abe got married and had friends and, violated every single fucking rule that was put before him when Henry first took him on as a vampire hunter. Okay, I totally understand that is just me trying to work in logic, but it just seems a little bit petty though to finally go, you know what, fuck you, after Abe decided to try to get rid of slavery. You know what I mean? Guys, it's really, really weird. This movie is trying, and God bless it, it is trying to build tension, and it's really trying to make me care, but I'm really going to tell you guys, for maybe the last 20 minutes or so, I really just have not felt the will to care, because this movie has sadly come to kind of a screeching halt, you know what I mean? I really wish I could put my finger on it and actually try to, like, sum it up better, but I've really just kind of lost, interest in what is going on here. Well, guys, that was Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Let me shut this off. Jesus God. Okay. Where to even start? I'm going to start with writing. Writing in this movie is probably one of the biggest mixed bags I have ever seen. Because the first half of this movie, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, is actually kind of cool, alright? The first half here, mind you now, the first half is not, great by any, stretch. First half, though, is at least entertaining, because we basically get to see exactly why Abraham Lincoln has decided to hunt, vampires. We get to see him go through his training. We get to see his first few hits, essentially, because he really is just basically a vampire hitman more than anything else. And we see all that, and all of that's really cool. And everything for the first half, or for almost the first half, is built up really, really well. And they then work in something that the one vampire that Lincoln was really looking to kill for personal reasons was part of this vampire family who's housed mostly in the deep south, which of course is going to lead to a whole thing involving the Civil War. And if you do not see that coming when they say that there's a strong vampire concentration in the south, then that is your fault. Anyway. And really, they didn't have to mention that in the slightest, because really, the only reason why that mention is even there is so that way Lincoln is able to go into the South and able to see these vampires, able to use that as kind of sort of his reasoning for wanting to kick off, or for him wanting to fight to basically kill them, and also to free, the slaves. Lincoln kind of has two different motives going on here. And of course that means that Lincoln has to go into politics. And the moment that he goes into politics, the story comes to a screaming goddamn halt. Because frankly, we have already had closure on everything that mattered, and now we're on to padding for the next roughly hour of this film. And that, I think, is the big issue here, is that we didn't need everything from the point that Lincoln starts, running for Congress. He starts, and he fucking, becomes a senator, and then he becomes president. We didn't need any of that. We didn't need it. Well, actually, we never even see him as a senator. We see him in local fucking Illinois government, and then we jump ahead a few years, and now he's president. We didn't need any of that. All of that felt absolutely forced and tacked on, and really, you could have made a 2-hour movie out of just young Abe Lincoln training and fighting vampires, and ultimately leading up to the big fight against the vampire who killed his mother. That would have been fantastic. We would have had an awesome movie then. Unfortunately, and I don't know if it's the fault of the person who wrote the script, I don't know if it's the fault of the author who wrote the book that this movie is based on, but we suddenly are then drug into the latter half of this film, and all interest dies. It dies a slow, painful death, and frankly, it's kind of sad, because I'm going to tell you guys, I was genuinely interested for the first 40 minutes or so. 40 minutes, 50 minutes of this movie. And then that latter half is just such an absolute downer when compared to everything else. It is just such an absolute downturn in terms of writing quality and character depth and, reasons to care. Everything just sort of falls off and dies. And really, that is really sad, guys, because I was really kind of expecting something at least decent here. I mean, because, okay, yes, I went into this as absolutely fucking indifferent as possible, but I was still hoping for something good. And when the first half actually sort of, got my interest going, and then it just completely just bottoms out on the second half, it really is a little bit of a letdown. Now, I will say this, that the acting here, though, is pretty good. Seriously, guys, now, as much of a bizarre turn the writing took, from being, at least decent to complete shit, the acting was strong from start to finish, and that is definitely commendable. So yeah, I am definitely able to say that, guys. The acting here is great. The acting here is fantastic. It's just, again, that writing. Just I am going to try to not hammer on that writing, and but still, that there was like one of the biggest issues with it. Now, special effects. Special effects is really where this movie shines, because I'm talking both in CG and in makeup. And it shines because we have CG that looks beautiful. And I am talking, we have everything from CG buildings and CG battlefields. Because, yes, guys, well, as I fucking stated, the second half is set during the Civil War, so naturally we have to see battlefield footage. And a whole lot of that, aerial shots-wise, looks to all be done with CG, and it looks great. But mind you, guys, all of that is also going on when the writing absolutely bottoms out, and at that point you really are not going to care. At least I didn't care. But still, that still does not stop the CG from being beautiful, and the CG looks great. And as for makeup, I would like to say right now that they have one actor who plays Abraham Lincoln from about age 20 all the way to the end of the film when he's president, and he and Mary Todd are going off to the theater. I believe that we all know what's going to happen there, and if you don't, please do me a favor and brush up on American history. Anyway, and of course when he becomes president and now he's 50, they had to cake on a ton of aging makeup, and it looks great. I mean, it seriously looks like a different actor. In fact, I could say that about almost everybody who they had to go and slather on a ton of aging makeup, is that all of them look great because the makeup looked awesome. So guys, grand total here in terms of special effects, this movie is great. I mean, like, special effects wise, the movie is awesome. Again, acting wise it's great, special effects wise it's great, writing is the big thing that kind of kills it. Sound, now beyond that, like, soundtrack here is pretty good, and camera work is good, and lighting is good. Ultimately, none of those are anything really, really special. So when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter? Kind of. Guys, now, as harsh as I am on writing, and god damn it, I've been harsh as shit on writing on this thing, I still say that it is probably at least worth checking out once, for one simple reason. Because even though I couldn't stand the second half of this movie, that doesn't mean that you yourself are going to hate it. Ultimately, guys, when all is said and done, to me, this movie is incredibly average, because we have a very strong start and we have an incredibly weak finish, and it kind of leads to overall kind of it basically sort of leads to like a ho-hum film. Now that seriously means that you guys might genuinely love everything which is here. Or some of you might completely hate it. That actually is kind of the problem with movies that are kind of sort of, like, wavering in the fucking, middle ground, is I don't know how anyone else is going to take it. So I think that your best strategy is if you see this thing running on say like HBO or Showtime, check it out. If this thing is on Netflix, check it out. If you happen to be at a video store, if you still have a video store in your part of the country or maybe in your part of the world, and they have a copy sitting there and it's like 99 cents to rent it, by all means, check it out. I really think that you should at least give this movie a single viewing, just because, you guys honestly could wind up liking this a hell of a lot more than I ever, could have. However, you also could wind up completely hating it. I honestly am not able to give you a solid yes or no on this, because it just sort of falls so, right smack dab in the middle of fucking, mediocrity, that, and really, that honestly, I think is the best way to sum up this movie, is mediocre. It's average. There's nothing here that's really ultimately special outside of the special effects. And also, while I'm on the subject of special effects, the special effects, compounded with the questionable writing, ultimately leaves us with a film that really, really suffers heavily from style over substance. And that, I think, is the biggest problem here, guys, is that this movie is basically mountains and mountains of sizzle and very, very little steak. So also, if you're a person who's totally turned off by that, you may actually want to avoid this. So yeah, I'm really sorry, guys, that I couldn't give you a straightforward recommendation on this. Outside of, try it out or I should say, try it out if you care about vampire movies. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I know a lot of people who are absolutely sick to death of vampires. And I guarantee you, you are not going to like this because, well, it has vampire in the fucking title. You probably know it's best to avoid it. However, though, everybody else, by all means, at least, check it out once. Who knows, you guys might actually see something good here. And as for me, I need to go watch a better movie. And there's one very similar to this that I watched earlier this year that was able to take the goofy, stupid premise of a president fighting monsters and did a far better job with it. And that was FDR, American Badass. And I'm going to go watch that, guys. So, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.